there's going to be recording. Alrighty. Welcome to the information session to the MBA program here at Cal State San Bernardino. My name is Jessica. I oversee the admissions and student engagement aspect of the MBA program. And with me today, we have Maggie Garcia. She specializes in the recruitment for our online MBA specifically. And then also Irene, who's one of our current students in the MBA program. So she'll be talking about her experience. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm excited to talk to you guys about the Masters in Business Administration. By a quick show of hands, may I know how many of you are currently a student with us? You can either unmute yourself, put it in the chat, or raise your hand um, on the Zoom. I just wanted to get an idea. Anyone currently a student with us? Former student, perfect. Okay. Benjamin. Okay, great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I just wanted to gauge how many of you guys are already familiar with Cal State San Bernardino. For those of you that might not be familiar, Cal State San Bernardino, we have a beautiful campus and we're located inland Southern California, give or take about an hour and a half from downtown LA. Those of you that are currently in school with us or attended, you already know that we have a beautiful campus. But not only that, we're known number 12 best bang for the buck in the West, according to the Washington Mutual. And also, our campus is also ranked number 4 in the nation for social mobility, according to the U.S. News and World Report. So we're really proud of our campus. And also really proud of the MBA program specifically. We'll get into details about the program, but first I want to give Irene the opportunity to talk about her experience in the MBA program. Her time might be limited, so she might be exiting the session a little early. So I wanted to give her a time to speak about her experience and why she chose to pursue the MBA program here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about other reasons. Irene, do you want to take over?
Yes, thank you. My name is Irene, and I'm currently in my second semester in the MBA program in cybersecurity. So right now, my experience so far has been really positive and great. All the professors have been knowledgeable and they don't mind like asking questions. Sorry, they don't mind helping you if you have any questions off hours. And also, they also offer like internships and any other programs that you may not even know. So they have other resources that you don't even have the knowledge or they're not even on the website. So my experience regarding the professor has been great. The classmates have been very friendly. I have been able to make a lot of friends so far in the MBA program, and then also they have resources such as clubs. For my concentration for cybersecurity, they have women and male clubs, so it's been very knowledgeable and great. And then regarding info session and events for the MBA program offers like passports. So it's really they try to form a community, so which is great. That's what I really enjoy because I received my bachelor's in Cal State, and I would say that they didn't really, it's more of a commuter school. So I would say that Cal State San Bernardino has more of a community and they're more warming and their environment is more positive. So that's why I picked the MBA here. And because I've heard really good things about them and they've been it's been a great experience so far. So yeah.
Thank you, Irene. And you also work on campus, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Um, like I mentioned, she might have to exit a few minutes early. Do any of you who are joining us today have any questions for Irene? She can help answer, about the schedule or anything in general that you'd like to know from a student's perspective. Again, you can put your questions in the chat or you can feel free to unmute yourself as well. I don't see
I
any.
do have a question. Do you do the in-person or the online?
I do the in-person, but it's hybrid. So so my first semester was fully remote, and then now
Okay.
I have one remote class and one in-person.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many times a week do you have class, Irene?
I have it twice a week.
And they all start after 5:30, right?
Yes, they do.
Alrighty. And that's a question we also see in the chat. Are most classes offered in the evening? So let's talk about that. That's one of the reasons our students like our program. So most of our students also work full time, and we cater for working adults. So for that reason, all our classes are going to be offered in the evening, 5:30 p.m. or later. Once in a while, depending on the class, we might have a Saturday class. And we also have fully online course options as well as a fully online MBA for executives, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But typically,
Um,
all our programs are hybrid. Were you going to add something, Irene?
yes. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but like if you get the hybrid schedule, you're able to get also other perks such as the gym. And they have a rock climbing, so I think that's really great. And also, we do host events for like if you like hiking and other events for LA, they offer that. So just keep that in mind that we have more resources. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. For those of you that are not familiar with the campus, we have a recreation center, which is like a gym that our students have access to for working out or coordinating different adventures throughout the Southern California or sometimes even other places. So thank you for adding that. Um, Even if you're an online student, by the way, you can pursue that. If you, of course, not all of you might be close to campus, but if you are, we strongly encourage for you to take advantage of the resources that we have on campus. We'll touch a little bit more on that in a bit. But going back to why students are choosing Cal State San Bernardino's the schedule, it's really flexible. We encourage students who work full time to keep working. It doesn't mean you have to quit your job to pursue the program. The program itself has different opportunities for you to take advantage of. For example, we certain years will have a study abroad opportunity, graduate assistantship opportunities, and the way that works is we'll depending on the campus needs, different faculty or staff members might need a graduate assistant. To work on a part-time basis, and you get paid for those positions while you're a student with us. And we also have a dedicated student advisor who would help you with the selection of your classes each semester so you don't feel lost. I know Irene meets with DeLauren, that's his name, to talk about, what to take the next semester if you need that. This is pretty common at the undergraduate level, but at the graduate level, not most graduate programs do not come with a student advisor. So I think that's a great perk. Before I move on to the next item, Jessica, did you have another question?
Yes, I do. How many classes would you recommend being a full-time employee to take every semester?
I would say 2 to 3 classes. That's typically the average, but you're not required to stay with 2 to 3 classes. Irene, do you mind sharing how many classes you take?
I've been taking 2 so far. It's been great, but next semester I'll be taking 3.
Okay, yeah. So if you work full time, we typically advise students to gauge the first semester and start out with 2 classes. That way you know what to expect. You better than us knows your commitment in terms of work, how much you can dedicate to school. So we advise students to start with 2 classes, and then you can gauge from there on. I saw a question in the chat as well that says, are there also summer classes available? We do have some summer classes. A lot of the times they're online. For summer, they might be fully online, but there are some summer classes as well. And that's where DeLauren would come in and helping you plan out which classes are available so you can plan out your entire program and you know exactly when you're taking each of the classes.
I do have a note. So they recommend to do at least a 10-week session just because a 5-week may be too much cramped. So yeah, if you do want to take summer classes, just keep in mind just to take at least one 10-week and one 5-week. So it won't be too much.
Thank you. See, this is why I wanted Irene here because that's stuff that I don't know. So thank you for sharing that. I'll go back to the how many years. I have a question. How many years are you doing the master's program? Because it depends on which program you're pursuing. We'll touch a little bit more on that later on the down the line. Another reason is we have one of the most affordable MBA programs in our region. We'll talk about the cost a little bit, but just based on the cost, the quality, and the convenience, we really do feel that we have one of the best programs, not just locally, but worldwide. Going back to the quality of the program, our MBA program is AACSB accredited, which is an accreditation that only 5% of the business schools in the entire nation hold. So we like to point that out, even though we have a lot of different accolades like best online programs according to the U.S. News and World Report. But AACSB accredited, it's something that we're really proud of because hopefully that just gives you an idea of the quality program that you'd be getting with us. I want to take a quick pause here before we move on in case you had any other questions for Irene. Any other questions you can think of? I don't see any other questions for Irene. Thank you, Irene. And if you have to go, feel free to exit. And thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Have a good day.
Thanks. All right. In that case, let's talk about the admissions requirements for our programs. So in order to pursue our MBA program, you'd have to hold, you have to hold a bachelor's degree, and it doesn't have to be in any specific field. It doesn't have to be in a business background. Of course, that might help, but we don't require for you to have a specific major. And we also don't have any prerequisites. So as long as you hold a bachelor's degree, what we're looking for in terms of your GPA is we prefer a 3.0 GPA or higher. However, we can consider your application even if your GPA is down to a 2.5. What we'll do is we'll take a holistic look at your application and look at the other items to determine if you can be admitted with the 2.5 or higher. So what I tell students, don't let the GPA alone discourage you from applying. What we'll ask as part of the application package is that you submit an application through Cal State Apply, where you'll submit your transcripts from all the schools you've attended. And we ask for unofficials at the time of the application, so you can just upload the unofficials, and then we'll ask for officials once you apply. I'm sorry, once you're admitted into the program. With your transcripts, we'll be able to verify your GPA. Also, we'll ask for one letter of recommendation from a professional recommender. So that could be anyone who's can speak to your work ethic, like someone you work with, a supervisor, a professor, and they can submit it directly through the Cal State Apply. We can send them a link so that they can complete it electronically. So within the Cal State Apply application, you would write down, provide their contact information, and we reach out to them that way. Or if you already have a letter of recommendation, they can send it directly to us. I see your question, Jessica. I'll go back right now. We'll also ask for you to provide a resume, which we want it to be as detailed as possible, especially if you have any leadership experience, and make sure you're including the start dates for each of your job entries, so months and years in which you held each job entry, and also a statement of purpose, which is about a page-long statement of the reasons why you're pursuing our program and why you feel you're going to be successful. I usually tell students, don't overthink that. It's more just to look at your grammar and really get a sense of why you're interested in the program. We'll also schedule a Zoom interview with you, and that I would hold the interview. And what I tell students is there's no wrong answers to the questions I'll ask. It's just, again, to get to know you a little bit more and make sure we're a good fit for you and that you're a good fit for our program. And we also ask for a business aptitude requirement. So if you're pursuing our traditional MBA, there's different ways of meeting the business aptitude requirement. If you're meeting the executives MBA, we require 2 years of leadership experience. And that's specifically overseeing other staff, overseeing a facility, overseeing important projects. So that's for the executives MBA. For our traditional MBA, which I'll clarify the differences between those two. But for our traditional MBA, you have different ways of meeting the business aptitude. You only have to meet one of the following, and that is either graduating from an accredited undergraduate business program with a 3.0 or higher. So, for example, if you graduate with our bachelor's in administration here at Cal State San Bernardino, and you received a 3.0 GPA or higher, that's how you would meet your business aptitude requirement. So you don't have to worry about anything else. Another way to meet it is if you've completed another graduate level degree, like another master's or another doctorate degree, a different school or with us. A different way to meet it is also if you have 2 years of professional experience. Now, if you don't have none of the above, then in that case, we might have requests for you to take the GRE or the GMAT tests, which are entrance exams to gauge how well you're going to do in graduate school. So those are standardized exams that you would do outside of the university and then just provide us the scores. I'm going to take a quick break here to answer the question that Jessica asked and see if you guys had any other questions. All right. Okay. So how many years are you doing the master's for? I'll come back to that question. And we have a question from Tatiana, which says, we would need a GRE score back before applying. You can apply before. However, we will need the GRE scores if you don't have a business aptitude requirement. So what a lot of students opt to do is apply first without a GRE or GMAT score. That way we can gauge if you already meet the requirement by looking at your experience, so your resume, or looking at your GPA. Some students don't know their GPA at graduation. So we can also, I forgot to mention, we can consider your cumulative GPA or your last 60 semester units or 90 quarter units, whatever is higher. So if your last 90 quarter units or 60 semester units are higher, we can use that. So I don't know if that answers your question, Tatiana. You can apply without the GRE score, but we might ask for you to submit it before we can make a decision. All right. I think Jessica will go back. Your question is the executive MBA fully online, maybe? Maybe that's what you meant. We'll talk a little bit about the differences in the programs. That might help, but if you can clarify your question. And I have, does somebody want to say something?
Yeah, so when I went to actually go into Cal State San Bernardino, they told me that you guys offered fully online, but it was the executive one because I
Yes.
would be kind of towards more my route because I do have
Okay.
the experience already. So I don't know if I was looking
Yeah.
at it and I think they had the spring and the summer, so I won't be able to register for it. So I'm assuming I won't be able to start till next year, correct? Because of the spring and summer.
So we actually admit students for fall as well. So
Okay.
we'll talk about the differences, but it sounds like you might be more a better fit for our fall GPA, fall admit for our executive MBA. And we'll talk a little bit more about the differences.
Okay, thank you.
And then I have a question from Hasib. I have done an MBA major in marketing with thesis. Should I go for a master's degree or a PhD? Hasib, if you already hold an MBA program, then our getting another MBA probably won't help. And sometimes we don't allow you to unless the curriculum is very different from what we have. So again, if you already have a MBA program, we don't typically recommend for you to get a second MBA. If you really want to continue your studies, maybe a doctorate degree might benefit. And yes, you can unmute yourself.
Hey Jessica, how are you?
Yes, good. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to inquire about my MBA because I have already done my MBA after graduation in Masters and Major in Marketing of
Okay.
MBA. Now I want to pursue my higher studies, but I want to move abroad with my families and my children just to pursue my higher degrees. What do you suggest? Should I start over again with the Masters or should I go for PhD? Like the real scenario is what I have told you.
Yeah. So that would It just depends. I understand. It sounds like the most compelling reason for you to pursue the program is because you want to be abroad, but the program only allows for you to be here while you're in the program. So, then you have to think about what's going to happen after you graduate. And if you're making that investment, my advice to you is that you pursue something that you're going to get something out of. So if you already have an MBA, you might not get a lot of getting another MBA. We've seen it happen very seldomly. It does happen, but we'd have to review the curriculum that you took before to see if it's similar to ours. And if it is, we won't allow you to pursue a second MBA because you already have one. So it depends. In that event, you might want to consider a doctorate's program just as a more advanced degree to help you in the long run more.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's clear my thought and my mind. So I will definitely look for PhD opportunity in your university or in any other university if I get one. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we don't have any doctorate degrees in business here at Cal State San Bernardino. So, yeah, just wanted to point that out. I do have another question in the chat that says, does the letter recommendation for the traditional MBA have to be from one of the professional experience, or it can be from a professor? It can be from a professor, as long as it's a professional recommendation, meaning it's not from friends or family. So thank you for asking that. Any other questions on the admissions requirements before we move on to talk about the different programs that we have? Okay, I don't see any other questions, so we'll move on to the next item, which hopefully helps answer Jessica's question. So we have one degree, which is an MBA program, but three different options that you could pursue. One, we have a traditional MBA that's offered on campus or online. So this is the hybrid modality. And the traditional MBA is between 36 to 42 units, so 12 to 14 classes. The total number of classes to take will depend on your concentration because the traditional MBA has the option for you to select a concentration. I'm going to go on to the next slide really quick just so you can see the concentration options we have for the traditional MBA. We have accounting and internal auditing, cybersecurity, which is 14 classes because it's a STEM designated program. We also have entrepreneurship, finance, HR management, hospitality management, marketing, global supply chain management. And we also have interdisciplinary in case you don't want to select a specific concentration, you can pick and choose from different concentrations. So as you can see, most of them are 12 classes, including the concentration. You can also do a dual concentration. So if you wanted to do multiple concentrations, you would just take the extra classes for the extra concentration. So I'm going to go back to the traditional, or to the previous slide regarding the traditional program. This program is it takes students typically 2.5 to 3 years on average. It all depends on how many classes you're taking each semester, and which concentration. So for example, if you pursue the cybersecurity concentration, it might take you a little longer. We also have the MBA for executives, and that could be done on campus hybrid, or it can be fully online. If you decide to do it, well, both of them are 30 units, 10 courses. And I'll let Maggie, who is with us today, she's going to talk a little bit more about our MBA for executives, the fully online option.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Maggie. As Jessica had mentioned, I am the online MBA student advisor. Me and Jessica do work closely with all of our MBA students, but I specifically handle the admissions portion of the online track. So just a little bit about the program, just reiterating what Jessica has already mentioned. Our program is 100% online. And it is completely asynchronous. So there are no scheduled lectures or classes that you would have to attend over Zoom. So it's definitely meant for the working professional, someone that wants to manage their assignments, tests, things like that on their own time. One of the few distinctions between the online executive program in comparison to the traditional MBA is that there is a 2-year leadership experience required. That leadership experience can be through project management, so overseeing employees, facilitating any large projects and managing employees while doing that. What you would need to do if you wanted to apply to the program is first submit your resume. Well, we review it, and if it gets approved, then you are eligible to apply. Just to let you know a little bit about the modality of the program is pretty accelerated. So because it is considered an accelerated program, the program in itself has two 6-week sessions and fall and spring, and one 5-week session in the winter, and another two 5-week sessions in the summer. So you will be taking classes fall, spring, winter, and summer. So 4 total terms. We have seen students complete this program under 22 months. So you definitely get your MBA quick as long as you are able to take the classes at its full capacity. A little bit about the way we assist you as your advisor. If you have questions in regards to prerequisites, need more one-on-one advising, we do offer that. Jessica, as well as myself, can provide you that one-on-one assistance. I think one of the things I really like to touch on is that we, as advisors of the programs, we want to help you find ways for you to actually get accepted. We're not looking for ways to tell you no, you won't be accepted. So we look at your application holistically. So if there's questions you have on, definitely let us know. Jessica had already mentioned the requirements. They're pretty much the same, except the 2-year leadership experience requirement. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will be putting in my contact information in the chat. If you are interested in receiving additional information about the online program, please input your name and email address in the chat, and I'll be sending you all of the information that you need to know about the online program. So feel free to put that in the chat. If anyone has questions, I can leave it up open in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and I can address those questions right now.
Thank you, Maggie.
For leadership experience, you mean like just being a general manager or like overseeing like areas or?
We go off of your experience rather than your title. So that's why we asked for you to be detailed in your job description and your job duties within the resume, because that's what we go off of. And I don't know if Maggie mentioned it, but I think she did. We can review your resume before you apply, if you wish.
Okay.
Just to make sure before you commit on the application, we can check on that before.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right, and thank you, Maggie.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right, and so the MBA for executives, like we mentioned, we can review your resume beforehand. If you do it on campus, typically it tends to be a little slower pace. Most students finish within 2 to 2.5 years, whereas the fully online, we've seen students finish it in 1.5 years, 18 months. We've seen students do it because you're able to double up, or you can take breaks in between the classes if you need to. You can go at your own pace, basically. So, but the online MBA is very accelerated. So you'll have the option to do that. Any questions on any of these items, on the differences in the program before we move on? Any questions? Okay. In that case, let's talk a little bit more about the cost breakdown. We talked a little bit about it in the beginning, and let's talk about it more. So for our traditional MBA program, the total cost can vary depending on different factors. For example, how many classes you're taking each semester, because you're paying for the tuition every semester rather than per class. So, but typically, students pursuing our traditional MBA program as a California resident, if you're taking around 3 classes per semester, students tend to pay a total of $37,800 for the entire program. So that's not per semester, that's for the entire program. Or around 43,000 if you're pursuing the cybersecurity concentration, because it's more classes that you're taking. If you're a non-resident or an international student, The total cost of the program is closer to 53,000 or around 61,398 if you're pursuing the cybersecurity concentration again, because it's more classes. This is just to give you an idea. And for some of you that might not be familiar, perhaps the numbers look a little scary, but we'll talk a little bit about just financial resources. But if you're looking for other MBA programs, you'll see that the rate is actually a very good rate compared to other local MBA programs. There's an MBA program just down the street, not too far from us, UCR's MBA program. It's a great program as well because they're also CSUSB accredited, but they're significantly more. So if you're doing your research, you'll see that the price is actually really, really good compared to other local schools. For our MBA for executives, if you're doing it in a hybrid modality, California residents taking around 3 classes per semester pay roughly about 30,000 total for the entire program, and non-residents or international students pay around 42,800 total, just to kind of give you an idea. For our fully online program, there's a set cost. At the moment is 33,000. It used to be more. We actually lowered our price to stay competitive. And for that program, it's a set cost because, again, you're paying per class, not per semester. I'm going to go on to the next slide, which will talk a little bit more about, just some of the resources you have. So the way some students are financing their degree is you can apply for FAFSA, which is the application for grants and loans. So when you submit your FAFSA, you'll be asked to include information about your household size, income, all that good stuff. And based on that, the Department of Education determines what you qualify for. Students typically, most students qualify for student loans, which you could use to fund the program up front, and then you just pay back after you graduate. For FAFSA loans, typically they don't look at your income or your credit score. As long as you're in good standing with FAFSA, most students qualify. In addition, if you're pursuing any of our hybrid programs, you might be considered for grants, which is free money. I will add that grants are need-based. So they specifically look at your income and household size. So a lot of the students doing our program don't qualify for grants because they work full-time. It just depends on your income, but it is available to some students if you qualify for that. And again, grants don't have to be paid back. We also have a lot of graduate assistantship opportunities. Like I mentioned earlier, that's one way to help fund your degree, where we'll have different openings throughout at least once a semester, and you can apply for graduate assistantships after you start your first semester, based on the need of each department, and you're paid on a part-time for a part-time position, basically. There's also scholarships available. We have some internal, some external. The way scholarship works, typically it's a little bit harder to get them, not because your income, but with scholarships, it's not one application for all. You have to first do research. These are scholarships that are most of the time funded by private parties. So you have to look for, first of all, scholarships that apply to you, meaning that you meet the qualifications for the scholarship. And each scholarship requires its own application. So you might find yourself filling out a total of 50 scholarship applications. And just because you apply does not mean you're going to get it. There might be one scholarship for 50 applicants and they just select one applicant. So again, it is a lot more work to find these scholarships, but it's free money that's potentially out there that you could take advantage of. Also, if you're currently working, inquire about employer tuition reimbursement. You'd be surprised with how many employers are willing to help their employees fund their degree. Even if it's not the full amount, a lot of them can help you fund a partial amount. And I'm sure you know that anything helps. So this is some of the ways that students are financing their degree. Like I said, at the very least, most students qualify for loans, which helps them pay upfront, and then you can pay that back. And it doesn't have to be the full amount either. It's whatever you think you'll need. I'll take a quick pause here. Any questions on the cost or financial aid? Don't see any questions, so I'll go ahead and move on to the next slide, which just kind of outlines some of the events that are happening after you become a student. So once you apply and you're admitted, you'll be introduced to your student advisor who will help you select the classes for your first semester. And in addition, a week before classes start, we have a new student orientation in which we invite all our new students via Zoom. You'll get to meet the staff members in the program, and we'll talk about processes and procedures for the program so that you feel comfortable in starting the program. We also have a passport leadership program, which our student ambassador mentioned a little bit. And what this is, it's to encourage students to attend as many events as possible. So we'll have different events throughout the year on campus. Some of them are online, and a lot of them are to help you advance in your professional career. So for example, we have career and internship fairs. We have a mixer in which we invite alumni and students to attend. So what the Passport Leadership Program is, for every event that you attend, you'll collect a stamp, kind of like you would in a passport. And then after you meet a minimum number of passport stamps, you'll get a leadership award that you can add to your resume. We also have the Student Ambassadors Program. So Irene is one of our student ambassadors, and she's the contact. She forms a group of students who represent the MBA student body. So our student ambassadors are available for you to talk to in case you wanted to get additional information on the program before you commit, or if you wanted to get more student perspective. And it will be an opportunity for you guys to join in the future if you decide to pursue our program. We open up student ambassador applications typically once a year. So if you feel that you want to be a student ambassador in the future, again, we have that program as well. And we have the Coyote Network, which is our internal version of LinkedIn. So it's a platform to encourage networking with current students as well as alumni. And again, only internal parties have access to it. And we also have a lot of different resources available for you so that you're successful in the program. We have services for students with disabilities in case you need accommodations in any of our classes. We have the Recreation and Wellness Center, the gym that Irene was mentioning, counseling services. We have our Veteran Success Center in case if you have any military benefits, to utilize our Career Center to help you with resume, career input, interview preparation, career fairs, all that good stuff. We also have a physical on-campus graduate success center. It's intended specifically for our graduate students to have a physical space where you can go and study and do your work. It has computer labs, a kitchenette. So again, another resource. We have different sporting events you can attend, a study abroad program, and also Overshaw Den, which is a more humanitarian center where we help students who are struggling with basic needs like food, shelter, clothing, even they do clothing donations. So again, just some of the resources that we have available. If you haven't already, I would encourage for you to visit our website. We have a lot of information there for students like you who are still thinking about the program, or for once you already joined, we'll have a lot of information for you as well. We have the admissions deadlines, the guidelines, scheduling appointment, different forms and course information. So again, if you haven't, you can go to our website at csusb.edu/MBA. I mentioned briefly, we are currently accepting applications for fall. to start in August. So the semester would begin August 2025, and the application is currently open. So you would want to go to Cal State Apply, submit your application along with the documents. If you need help with the application itself, I'm more than happy to help. So is Maggie. If you're pursuing the online MBA, we're both here to help. If you're still struggling with the application itself, we advise students to apply sooner than later, especially in the event that we might ask for additional documents. So for example, let's say we need GRE scores. We give you until the deadline to submit everything. So if you apply now, it'll give you, and also us, more time for you to prepare for the exam and take the exam and provide us scores. Because if you wait until the deadline, then you won't have time to register for the exam if we do need it. So again, the last day to apply is not until July 1st. But if you already know that this is the program that you want to pursue, we encourage for you to apply now, sooner than later, for a couple reasons. The first one, it's so that in case we need additional documents, you have more time to provide those. But also, once you apply, we're able to provide a decision typically within 2 to 3 weeks. So you'll know whether or not you were admitted into a program right away, which would help in terms of registration. That way you get priority also in the classes that you want to take in the fall. I forgot to mention, if you're an international student or student with foreign transcripts, the deadline to apply is June 1st, because it takes a little longer for us to review foreign transcripts. We do have that deadline of June 1st, which is not too far from now. And if you're an international student, you should apply now, because the visa process takes quite a bit. So we want you to have as much time for that as well. Any questions on the deadlines? We are on social media platforms. So if you don't already follow us, we're on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube as well. I'll actually be recording today's session there. So again, if you don't already follow us on social media, feel free to follow us to stay up to date on different events that we have. Now, if you have additional questions, or if you wanted to meet one-on-one with me, you can scan the QR code that you're seeing on the screen now, and that'll lead you directly to my scheduling page. I can help answer specific questions about your specific situation, or if simply you needed help with the application portal, again, I'm happy to help. All right, that pretty much sums up all the items I wanted to cover. Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help. If you don't, thank you so much for joining. All right, I do see one question. Are there any unique opportunities the MBA program offers for students concentrating in marketing, such as partnerships or networking opportunities with entertainment companies, agencies, or PR firms? Yes, thank you for asking that, Tatiana. So, and this isn't specifically for marketing per se. I can connect you with one of our marketing student ambassadors to see what her experience has been, Tatiana, so I'll email you directly. But what we do to try to encourage students to find partnerships or networking opportunities is to attend events like our career and internship fairs. This is where we invite a lot of different firms and employers and companies to come to campus and talk about their services, and provide sometimes with internships and even job openings. We've had a lot of students who are able to secure full-time jobs, internships, partnerships by attending those events. Also, talk to your professors, especially your marketing professors, about that. But I think in your case specifically, Tatiana, I would want you to connect with one of our student ambassadors who's a marketing major, or a marketing concentration as well. So she can tell you about her experience in that sense as well. So I'll email you directly. Thank you for asking that. Any other questions? No? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Hopefully we'll work together soon. Bye-bye.